All right, there you go. Thank you very much for joining us. It's NTV Press Box. Welcome back from that break as we jump into more reactions coming your way. Do remember to continue that discussion on Twitter. NTV Press Box is the hashtag that we are using. We've made a quick tactical change. Again, here in studio, we've dropped Madoy and Max Ali for performance issues. We've brought in the head coach of Proline, Mr. Mujib Kasule, and Mr. Ali Waiswa, the VP Uganda Refs Standing Committee. Thank you very much for joining us, Mujib. Such a pleasure having you on the show. With the time you've spent in Ugandan football, with the time you've followed the game, I probably should start off with a basic comment. First of all, how are you? How have you been? And how is Proline?
I'm good, being okay, and Proline is all right.
Yeah. I know you're giving me short answers, Mujib, but it's a very big topic we need to jump into. But I'll start off with, again, we have another ambulance that is going past.
I think there are people in the league that actually need help, and that's why the ambulance.
Mujib, I'll quickly start off before we jump into Proline itself. You've followed Ugandan football for a very long time. Here we are with a few games to the end of the campaign, and you have three teams really battling with close points at the top of the division. But you also have a bigger, longer set of teams at the bottom. Does this mean we're getting more competitive? Does this mean there's more quality in Ugandan football?
It depends on how you look at it. If you are following the league, you see that the teams are almost on
Can you get the mic close?
The teams are almost on the same level. And the players are also on the same level. You don't see any standouts. In terms of the general picture of the development of the game in the country, that's a bad picture. Because surely we should have teams and players who stand out. And when you're building the national team, you don't build the national team on 16 teams. There will be 2 or 3 teams where you pick the cream that eventually plays the way it is all over the world. So if all the players are the same, that is a danger for the game in general. And that's why you see there's a lot of competitiveness now in the league, because the level is almost the same. You don't see a standout player that fans will walk into the stadium week in, week out to come and see, are willing to pay any amount of money to come and see. You don't see the Mayanjas, you don't see the Majidu Musisis, you don't see the Chambadis, simply because the players are on the same level. So that is not a good sign in terms of the general picture of the game. However, in terms of trying to win, we see lots of teams now in the last 2 or 3 years are beginning to want to win. KCC has been winning the last 3. It has given a lot of impetus to other teams like Vipers. They also want to win. Villa, since Ben Misaga came, he has been trying and promising doubles every season. So the hunger to win is a lot. And so everybody is doing their best to make sure that they win. At the bottom, of course, because like I said, most of the teams are at the same level, you see about 8-10 teams are still fighting. We don't know who will drop or who will stay. And that's why you see now the gap between the 3 and then the rest.
Before I bring in Waiswa, I wanted to ask this, because what happens when it comes down to management of a football club in a league? You had a beautiful first round as Proline. But the second round hasn't exactly gone according to the script now, has it? What has happened in there? Is it down to players being fatigued? Is it down to referees, like we shall be discussing later on in the show? What happened to Proline in the second part of the season?
I think a combination of factors. Some of them are ours. Certain things that we didn't do right in terms of the team, character, consistency. I think we dropped. But there were other factors, and I can't shy away from the fact that the officiation has not been on our side. It's been like this since Proline has been in the league, no problem. But of late, it's getting worse and worse for us. It's difficult for you to ask players to go and give 120% in every game, because for us, that's what it takes. The boys have to fight. They have to work so hard to get the results, because we are not lucky with the officiation, and that has also been a problem. But at the moment, three more games to go. We don't want to give that as an excuse. We're telling the boys we have to keep fighting. If it takes 120%, we have to give it in every game.
I'll bring in Mangusha very shortly, but before I do that, Mr. Ali Waiswa.
Yes, please.
You listen to Mujib. You the men in black decide titles. You decide relegation. Okay. You get managers sacked. You get players' contracts cancelled according to how you officiate matches. There's been a statement released by FUFA there's a new committee that is supposed to handle refereeing decisions that are happening, this controversy that has been going on. Did you feel ashamed to be a referee now? Because there seems to be so much controversy about the performance of the men in black this season.
Ashamed and not ashamed. I am an experienced referee, former referee. When I look at my colleagues who are officiating now, well, it may be lack of experience. Some decisions are intentionally wrong. So, you see now, you make a referee goes there, maybe he doesn't have that enough experience to handle. Or you have an experience to handle, but you go there and deliberately do. But you can't force it to drink it. It may refuse, and deliberately refuse. It can become obstinate to refuse to drink water. So this is what is happening, and that's why FUFA has deliberately put in place a committee, it's a subcommittee, of taking disciplinary action against errant referees.
I think he brings out something that is very grave, coming from a referee, saying at times they do things deliberately. So that's something that I pick out, which means stuff to do with match fixing, bribery could come in play there, because if the boss of the referees says at times, of course he's proud or not proud, but sometimes some decisions are deliberately taken. So who influences, the deliberate, taking of those actions? Now that brings into question the officials, because if there's anything, then the officials are involved in this. So perhaps that's the point FUFA should be looking to investigating. Even that committee should not wait for future cases. They should start on that, because they seem to know that some decisions are deliberate.
Mujib, I want us to talk more football later on in the show, but let's get this out of the way. When here, Mr. Ali Waiswa say some mistakes could be intentional, that's alarmist. That's a very scary statement. When Mwangusha talks about who could be interested in those decisions going that way, is another. I've had Asaf Mwebaze come up and say Maroons have suffered problems from officials as well. Just how much has Proline, in your personal view, been affected by mistakes from referees this season?
We are the most affected club.
Yeah, you have stats, Jiba.
And this is no secret. We are the most affected club in terms of bad decisions going against us. Many of them are recorded. If you have seen the recordings of the dubious goals against us, offsides and penalties given, and those that are not given against us, we have suffered. And not only this season, all over, for so many seasons. But this season, like I said, it's getting worse. And it's a public secret that referees are deliberately messing up games.
So these are not mistakes?
They are not mistakes. They are not mistakes. Then the other issue is with us, the officials. Us, the officials, the owners of the clubs, we are deliberately involved in this vice. We procure football matches, and we influence these referees to influence matches. So it is a very big vice.
I think it is a vicious cycle.
It is.
It's not just the referees.
Well, let me ask.
It involves everybody.
Are we talking about match fixing?
Yes. We are talking about match fixing, because when you procure, or if you come and deliberately influence a match, that's match fixing, and this is what we are talking about. And the fact that FUFA has come up and put a committee to investigate and probably punish, they know that it is true now. Unfortunately, it has come too late, because there are 2 matches left.
Yes.
Yeah. Already the decisions have affected and have
teams
changed.
are affected.
Yes, some of us are really affected. So it's a bit too late. But for me, the positive is that they have realized that it is getting out of hand, and they are starting to take charge of it. It's a bit too late, but maybe we can push it into the next season. But this is an area, if we are going to help the game flourish and people enjoy it, people are starting to come back and they are starting to get the hunger to come and watch matches. This is one area that we need to put a lot of emphasis. We need to investigate. We need to book people. We need to stamp it out. It's not only the referees that are involved, like I said, the officials are involved, the players. It is so evident that some players in some clubs, they even ask the officials, have you dealt with the referee? Before they go in to play a match, because they are used to this. So you will get players that live here and go to play somewhere else where they are not helped. and they cannot perform because they are used to being helped back home. And this is
Actually,
where the mess is.
Andrew, when Mujib came through, Ali Waiswa was seated already. I don't think he saw me, but I saw him. When he turned and saw Ali Waiswa, said, "Hey, come on! Am I safe? Am I?" The man is now afraid of referees, even in hotels and restaurants. I don't know. You perhaps were trying to dive, or you were worried actually that the guy could book you.
Personally, as a coach, I am thinking of actually, no matter what happens this season, I'm stepping away from a touchline.
Wow.
Because I can no longer control my emotions. Because there is too much that happens and you have to control your emotions. You have to restrain yourself from doing certain things. You see? So it is getting too much. I feel I'm at a boiling point and I don't want to be caught in such things. So I would rather take a break from this until this mess is yes, then I can come back.
I'll quickly cross over to Waiswa. Just in case you're watching the show tonight, you have breaking news now. You can quickly go to Twitter. You can quickly, for the newspaper folks, you can write your story tomorrow. Mujib Kasule has just confirmed he will not be on the touchline next season if this kind of mess continues in Ugandan football. Ali Waiswa, yes, where do we go next? Like Mujib says, are we going to punish these officials, or are we going to see these same officials back at the center of the action next season without big punishments?
Some of these actions are so, I don't want to call them remote, but ever heard about betting?
Oh, yes.
Betting?
Yes.
And the president, Magogo, has warned referees against betting. There are some referees. You don't know that they were suspended remotely, and they are not
because of betting. Wow.
Really?
I'm telling you, this is a fact.
So referees bet, games are fixed.
They bet, and even players are betting.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Then, plus now match fixing. You know, we have a problem today. And the engineer, the president of FOFA, has talked of the integrity. You know, we send referees out with the message of integrity. But he has got his telephone, which he moves with. When he's moving to Mbarara, well, wherever he's going, he receives a message of money.
A handshake via mobile money.
And now that one to prove it, because it is between him and the other official. With his phone here, and he can't tell you.
Oh, there you go. That is a very scary moment. If referees in Ugandan football are betting, just like some of the footballers, we are in trouble. I want us to cross over to Joel, but before we let Mujib go, let's talk some football one more time. I've talked about an interesting first half of the campaign, a tricky second half of the campaign. People are talking about Fahad Bayo leaving that side, having a very big impact on the side in there. But you play KCCA, that is your next game. You're second from bottom. Masavo has 25 points. You have 27. But here's the interesting thing, Mujib. Express has 27, just like you. Sowana has 28. UPDF has 29. Mbara has 29. Even URA has 32. These remaining few games are going to be super dramatic. How much are you looking forward to these ones?
I see. We are actually looking forward to these games. Ours very tough games because we play KCC, Villa, and URA. We are playing all the big boys. But these are the teams and these are the matches that define a football player. And they define a football club. So we are looking forward to the challenge. The boys know what is up for them. They don't need any more motivation because now every match is a final. We need to win at least 7 points out of the last 9 for us to think about safety. We are well prepared. We will continue to play and we shall continue to give our best. We are proud of what we are putting on the pitch because what we are putting on the pitch is our hard work from training and our integrity, and then we play. If we lose the match, we lose the match. We are not going to influence a match outside of the normal football rules.
And actually, today, Mike Mutebi, who had great things to say about you at a press briefing, actually claimed that only KCCA and Proline play fair football in the country. Is that true, or he's overstating it?
Of course, I will speak for us. We do not have a budget for referees. We cannot influence referees because we owe it to ourselves to respect the referees by not inviting them to do something like that. But most importantly, to the players and to the fans. You know, when you train your players week in, week out, you give them the tactics, you give them the training, the fitness. It's because you want them to go on the field and play. But if you are not sure that you are doing the right thing, then you go on and procure matches for them.
Yeah.
You are not developing that player. And these are some of the small details that make our players fail when they go away from here.
Yeah. Mujib, I really want us to go for a break, but I've got to ask you this before you leave. You're a football man, you're a football coach, you've handled kids from the Proline Academy, you've handled now players who are playing at the senior level. How hard is it, Mujib? How hard is it to motivate your players now with these few games remaining and the position they're in? You must be paid double at the moment. Paying yourself double at the moment.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard because the biggest problem is the pressure spilling over to the players. They are not sleeping, they are worried, you know, and it becomes very difficult. The adrenaline is running so high. So most of the time what we do, we take the pressure off them and we carry the pressure with the coaches. And then you try to let them play football the way they know how to play. Particularly for us, we don't put them under any pressure. We said, you play your football. If your football is good enough for the big league, you go to the big league. But we believe in you. We know what you can do. You can play very wonderful football, and then you can stay up in the league. So it's very difficult, but one game at a time.
Mujib Kasule, coach at Proline, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Such a pleasure having you, and I honestly wish you the best towards the end of the campaign. Big fixtures coming up for you. Hey? Mr. Ali Waiswa from the Referee Standing Committee, thank you very much for joining us as well. Maybe I should ask you one final question.
Yes.
If you can answer in 20 seconds. What is the way forward again for the referees, you said?
The way forward is that they should know that they have a bigger picture in the CAF and FIFA. That's all. Otherwise, these little things cannot help them.
All right, there you go. Joel Kamari is standing by, and tonight he's joined by a gentleman who is very good at playing with the D. From D-da, D-da, D-da. Joel.